This is a video to show how to import grades into K12 Stride. Now this could be from really any system that will produce a CSV or a spreadsheet. So I'm going to go to my Grades tab first. And I'm going to go to Enter Grades. Yours probably goes there by default, but I have mine set up a little bit differently. And here in Enter Grades, there is an Import button. I'm going to click that. Now you'll see here under Sample, there is a sample file. This shows us the format we need to put it in order to import grades. So I'm going to just download that and open it up and show you what's in it. Okay. So here's some example grades you could import. And you can see there's something called the org defined ID. That's going to be the first column. Then a username. And then we have different examples of types of grades that you might see. Now the most common one we're going to use is the points grade. This is assigned in the grade. When you create the grade item, you give it a type, and a points grade is a type. So you see this is the exact name you put in, and then you use the words points grade. And then these are the points they received. This is an example of another one with the same type, points grade. This one is assignment 2. This one is similar, it's test 1 and test 2. Those are all points grade. And then we have other types, grade symbol. There's another points grade. Text grade. So these will come in as text fields. And then you can even import adjusted final grade and adjusted final grade denominator. I've never used those, so I can't tell you about them. End of line indicator has to go on every line. It's just a little hash symbol. And you have to have it at the end of every line. That's how the system knows that the line has ended. Now you don't need to include all of these fields when you're importing. Really all you need is this org defined ID, the score, and then that end of line indicator. That's the very minimum you need. You need 3 columns. So I'm actually going to take the rest of these out. And I can even take out the username. We don't need that. And this is what an import file typically would look like. Sometimes you may have multiple. You may have assignment to, I could spell assignment 2 points grade. But you can just do one at a time. You could do several at a time. You could be tracking the spreadsheet and then import it every time. So that's how your file needs to be set up to import. Now, the second question is, where do I get that org defined ID? What does that even mean? So here's where you get it. I'm going to press cancel for right now. We're not ready to import anything. Back on the Enter Grades tab, let's go to Export. Export is where we're going to find that org defined ID. So this top part you can just leave blank. I'm just looking for a roster, so I'm not going to click points grade or grade scheme. I don't actually want to export any of my grades. Last name, first name, email I'll take, section membership if you want it. Sometimes some of these are checked, sometimes not. So I just click check at the top to make sure none of them are checked when I don't want to export any grades. And now at the bottom I have the choice to export to Excel or export to CSV. In the export from Stride K12, I always choose export to Excel. And that's because when I put it in a CSV, it will add some characters to fields, and I don't like that. So I'm just going to export to Excel. Takes a minute. I'm going to download that. You notice it comes down here. All right, so let's open that up. Okay, and here is my class list. I can expand those columns. And notice it gave me the org defined ID. This is actually different than the student ID. It's very confusing, but this is the number that is used internally in Stride K12 to bring grades in and to export grades. So this is the number we needed for our import. So what I would do to set up a spreadsheet that I'm going to bring in to import into K12 is I will just set up another field over here that's like assignment 1, and then I can put in the grades. However, you can bring in the grades, you know, if they exported from another program and you can match them up, that works. If you're just typing them in, that's fine as well. They got a 0, this one got a 50 for perfect. So you'll just set it up like this. Now the thing that you'll need to do when you go to export it is you can't have these extra columns, the first name, last name, email. Those I think are going to cause problems. So you have to actually delete those columns. And then we have to add that end of line indicator. And I just go back to my sample one. Here it is. And I just grab these and copy them over, just so I know it's in exactly the right format. So this is, and then I need to make sure they go all the way down to the bottom. So everywhere we have a score, I need this end of line indicator. So I've gone out and actually created a spreadsheet that I want to bring in. These are my NWEA grades, and if you don't do NWEA, you don't need to worry too much about it. But you can see I have a spreadsheet that I've set up with the org-defined ID, the beginning of year, middle of year, and end of year grade, as well as this end of line indicator that we expect. You can see if I scroll all the way down to the bottom, it extends to all of those IDs. So I'm going to import this spreadsheet that I've created into K12. So here we go. I go back to Stride, and I'm going to click the import button. This is where we got that sample file before. We're not going to do that this time. We're going to click Choose File, where we have those grades stored. Mine's right here. And there's a box here that says create a new grade item when an unrecognized item is referenced. I don't usually do that because I like to create my grades and make sure that I've made them exactly how I want them. But if you want to make your grades, your grade items in a spreadsheet, you can check that and then it will create a new grade item whenever it doesn't see one. So for instance, I have in this spreadsheet, I have middle of year and end of year. I don't want those created because those are for semester 2, but I could have them created if I wanted to do it that way. So I just chose my file. I'm going to click continue. I have some unfound users. This is normal at the beginning of the year because kids will be dropping and adding all over the place. So if you see this, you might just want to go through and find these org IDs and make sure they have indeed been dropped from your class and then remove them from your spreadsheet. I'm just going to ignore them right now. And on the next screen, it shows me what grades it's about to import. Now, if this doesn't show you anything, that means there's something wrong in your spreadsheet and you set it up wrong. It didn't recognize a grade item. But this shows me over here, this grade stays the same, this grade stays the same. This grade changed from no entry to 20 out of 20. This one changed to 0 out of 20. This one changed, so see how those all changed. And you can scroll through and make sure they all look right. And then when you're ready, you can click Import. It'll say imported successfully, and you're good to go.